And Danny Dyer joins me now. Danny, hello, sir. How are you?
What an honour. I'm really, it's quite a posh setup, this. I'm very, very impressed. Although it seems a bit like I'm sort of been nicked, sort of.
Let's see how the next
CID
15
sort of
minutes
like.
go,
No, but thank you for having me. Honestly, I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I really enjoyed the film. And I was thinking about this. You have an acting persona. And it seems to me what's great about this film is it's a Danny Dyer type of character who's grown up. And he still has desires for certain things, but yet he's children. He's thinking about becoming a grown-up. Was that the appeal for you when you got the script, that you know this guy and yet it's a guy transitioning?
Well, look, first of all, I'll say as an actor, you're always very grateful to be working.
Okay.
I've been around a long time, 30 odd years, and I've had periods where I'm working a lot and other periods where I think I'm never going to work again. So first of all, you're always excited about any project, really. Now, Nick Love, who is somebody I've worked with, this is our 5th film.
Yeah.
He likes to write for my alter ego. Now, he's a man who's been in recovery for 38 years. So he was a heroin addict when he was 17. He went to rehab. He sorted his life out. So he's quite obsessed with, drug taking and that hedonism and all this sort of stuff. And he does it through me.
Okay.
Now, I've had me issues as well over the years. Fame doesn't help with that. It's quite, toxic and all that stuff. But I suppose what we're trying to tackle with Marching Powder is actually, where does a white working class middle-aged man sit in society now?
Yeah.
His optics are all wrong. Where does society see him? He's lost. Because it's almost like, those sort of men must be racist, must be homophobic. They're not, actually.
Yeah.
A majority of them are not, and are actually kind, decent human beings. They're just a bit lost souls, really.
Yeah.
And I think Jack Jones, the character I play, is very much lost in society and stuck in a rut. And he's still running around, trying to be a hooligan, with his belly hanging out and, sniffing cocaine, and it's just destroying his life. So actually what we've done is we've made a more adult film, and it's a love story. It's a rom-com. Which if you think of Danny Dyer and Nick Love, you would never think we'd make a film like that.
No.
It has sort of been hailed as Football Factory 2. It's not. I don't want to disappoint people.
No.
We do nod to our films because it's important, and we've got a couple of actors in it, Callum McNabb being one of them, Jeff Bell being the other, where we sort of nod and say, yeah, we're acknowledging it, but we're not sneering at it because it's a culture. We're doing it in a light-hearted way. It's funny. It's not too heavy. It sounds like it's a heavy film and it ain't. It could have been, but it's actually not.
And tell me this, not to give a spoiler, but you take a job briefly in a coffee shop and you're surrounded by these entitled, ride-on, woke young British boys.
Yeah.
And, I'm probably woke, I don't know, but it appealed to me guys, give it a rest, will you? You're white privileged kids.
Yeah.
Was there something in that for you that you enjoy doing that particular?
Again, it's about the generational thing, and I think because me and Nick have been around long enough, we can actually do that now. Like our last film came out 20 years ago, so it's a different generation of kids that are around now. These kids on skateboards in the office, sort of Gen X, are they? What am I? I think I'm Gen X. Am I? There's Gen Z.
Are they
Gen Zs. Gen Z?
They could be Gen Zs.
Gen
Anyone
Z.
Are they Gen Z? This guy's Gen Z over there. Yeah, he's Gen
He's
Z.
proud of it and all, look.
Yeah, exactly. He drinks craft beer at lunchtime.
Yeah, he's one of them ones, isn't he? So, and it was interesting, that scene as well, because, it was like he's trying to do the right thing and get a job, and all he can manage is picking up croissants for privileged white children, and it's really quite degrading for him.
Yeah.
And, of course, it ends in tears, of course.
Any reservations about the fact that sometimes in interviews, drugs come up a lot, right? This is a movie called Marching Powder, right? The clue's in the title. There are scenes where drugs look really bad. You're asleep in a Porterloo and it's just grim, right? Yep. But at the other stage, at other times, lovely pink hearts appear when you have a bag of cocaine in front of you. At this stage, you were in front and center. You were okay with making this a lot about drugs, clearly.
Well, it's about what people that take drugs, their idea of it, and so we're taking the piss out of. There's sometimes we do the thing where the cocaine's glycerin, but yeah, I'm sniffing it in a Portaloo on my knees in piss. So it just doesn't work. It doesn't add up. Yeah. And of course, that scene, what you're talking about, is when I f*** up again. This is probably the last opportunity I've got with my wife. I tried, I've relapsed again. She's thrown me out, And so I go to the pub, that's my saviour, and I'm going to go and sniff more cocaine with all my mates, and that'll be... And of course, what happens within that is that it starts off well with the love arts, and then there's a shot of me in the pub, teary-eyed, sad, looking around, trying to engage with people, and he's not. He's sad. And of course, we're highlighting it in a way where we're not sneering at it because it goes on. We can't deny that people take drugs. And, you know, they generally usually get on with their life, but, you know, actually they destroy lives. And so, but again, you don't want to be heavy about it. We're just highlighting that masculinity, men in a boozer, sniffing cocaine, think they're proper chaps. Actually, they're not. Okay, and it can only end in tears. It can only destroy your life eventually. So it's about engaging with people in a different way, and we're doing it in this film. Not going, oh, drugs are so bad, oh, someone's going to die. You know, it's just like watching it and going, wow, why would you think that that's the better option than being at home with your wife and your beautiful child? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's trying to do it in a different kind of way. Yeah. But we're certainly not. And I know from the marketing and the advertising, it looks like we're glamorising it. It's called marching powder, which is just a play on words, really. Yeah. But we're not glamorising it. There's nothing glamorous about it. It's the irony in there that people are not getting.
Yeah, it looks pretty miserable a lot of the time.
Well, it's awful.
Sniffing coke, yeah.
Of course it is. There's no value in it. I understand the younger men think it's great and they first discover it, but, you know, to still be doing it, you know, 47, 48 years of age, there's something pretty sad about that. Yeah, there's a lesson in that, all right. Tell me this, you mentioned Nick Love, and that might be the defining creative partnership of your life, but another one I'm really interested in is Harold Pinter. Yeah. Because with no disrespect, but it almost seemed like an incongruous pairing. Danny Dyer and Harold Pinter. Yeah. But what was there something that, because it seems like a really significant partnership for you. What did he give you, do you think? Well, he gave me a father figure. He gave me a mentor. You know, I love my dad. I'm very close to him now, but he was a shit dad. He wasn't around when I was young. And, you know, you need father figures, as you need mother figures as well. But young men especially, you need a role model, and if you haven't got one, and I do feel that at the moment there's not many role models about for young men that are running around, especially in London, stabbing each other over nothing, you know, in broad daylight, and you know, there's no one to look up to, and they feel like they need to belong to something, and it's tribalism and all that stuff. But with Harold, he came into my life at the time. I didn't know who he was. I didn't realise he was a celebrated man, and you know, won the Nobel Prize and all this sort of stuff. I just loved his writing. It was an audition. I read it. I'd never read anything like it. It was very conversational, and I was like, wow. Yeah, I've never seen a writer do a script and they say what. You know, like it'll be a sentence. I'd say what, like we do now. You don't do that in scripts. I found that fascinating. Anyway, it just rolled off my tongue really well. Audition, I got the part. And I realised that I was coming into a very elite world, which I didn't understand. And this theatre world is a very elite thing. And I've had a lot of classism, you know, which is fine. Everyone deals with an ism. We've all got them. Part of society, unfortunately. And he took me under his wing. And I think because he was from East London himself, he felt that he'd discovered me. And I felt, you know, it was later on in life, because I did a documentary about him, is when I was talking to people that knew him, and he used to say he's discovered this young actor, even though I've been acting for 9 years by then, and I'd made a couple of films and all that. He was like, you know, I think, you know, he was so important to me because he bollocked me when I needed it, but he also put his arm around me when I needed it as well. Yeah. And he just made me feel intelligent just being around him, you know, and I learned a lot from him. And, you know, I didn't realise how much I missed him until after he died. It sent me into a spiral of addiction and madness myself, to be honest. Yeah. So you felt his loss profoundly. I really did. I really did. And, you know, I realised later on through a lot of therapy that I had a lot of abandonment issues from men, strong men in my life. Like my dad being one, he off when I was 9. And then I got close to my granddad and he got cancer and died within 6 months. And I got close to Harold, he dies of cancer. So it's like I kept pressing the it button. Okay. But I needed to understand what it was and what it meant, because it is important. And so all those elite lot that hated the fact that Harold hated me, I say, you, all of you, because me and him were like that. Yeah. Sorry if I'm not allowed to swear, but, you know, it's emotional. It's too late now. Well, it's an emotional thing, you know. Absolutely. But, you know. Do you think everybody could benefit from therapy? I don't mean to turn this into an Oprah interview, but I think it's good that someone like Danny Dyer sits here going, I did therapy. I think that's a powerful thing to say. Do you think we could all deal with it? I do think that as men, we struggle to talk about stuff we need to talk about, because then you become emasculated, and when you're emasculated, you don't feel like a man, and that's when men do stupid things. We're living in a time where men my age are ending their lives, and I know a couple of people that have done it. It's never the answer. It can't be. We're here once. We have one shot at life. The answer can never be that you end it. So, you know, what we do is, as men, is we pretend everything's fine, because people that are going to do it, and I know this for a fact, they're the last person you think's going to do it. People that cry for help and say they might do it will probably never do it. It's the man who's the funniest one in the pub who then goes home and does it to make sure nobody clocks onto it. So it's about expressing yourself for sure, but not forcing men to sit in front of each other like this with tissues and going, talk to me. Because that ain't work. You need to be in a car, sitting next to your mate, playing pool, doing something where it's not too heavy, but you can just slowly release, you know? And because we don't sit around as men. I envy women. They sit around and gossip and talk and cry. So, you know what? Sometimes we need a little cry, you know? Oh, I'm also, you know, a believer in masculinity, and actually sometimes, you know, you want to be fucking protective and, you know, want to be all those things that men bring, but sometimes we need to sob our heart out, and then it just helps. So I don't know whether one-on-one therapy works. We're all different as human beings, but I definitely think we need more sort of men's retreats where we can all go and be men and have put some boxing gloves on, have a bit of a tear up, and then talk about stuff and have a cry and sit in an ice bath, maybe. You know.
Can I ask you, I am turning this into Oprah, but just as you're being so open about
You're a wonderful Oprah, I must say.
When is the last time you cried?
I cry quite a bit, actually. I'm very emotional around my children. So I cry through joy.
Okay.
So when I see
They say that's a thing of trauma. The happy stuff makes you cry.
Yes, but when I see my kids cracking on,
Yeah.
What I did was, because my dad wasn't about, as I thought, when I become a parent, I'll never do that. I will be about as much as I possibly can, and I will be affectionate. So when I got close to my grandfather, because my dad, there was a point my dad said I wasn't allowed to hold his hand anymore, and that was when we was crossing the road. And I must have been 8 or 9. And I remember I went to hold his hand, he went, no, we don't do that anymore. And it's always stuck with me, right? Because I had to cross the road, and I was a bit scared because obviously it was a busy road, but also I thought, oh, fuck. So obviously I'm not allowed to touch him or cuddle him anymore. Then my granddad came along, who was a proper geezer, airy, had no teeth, loved drinking rum, but would cuddle kids and his grandkids. You could sit on his lap and watch telly. And I thought, that's what masculinity is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a minefield though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. It's difficult.
Well, thank you for being so open. 2 more things, because I know time is against us. You talked about isms. There's a couple of people from my team here who are betting how many name drops I'll do. My ism is name drop-ism.
Is
right?
it?
It is, right? But I was going to tell you, when I spoke to, catch this one, George Clooney, and last week, Angela Bassett.
Oh, that's big.
Oh, stop, man. And I'm
That's
only getting
big,
started.
mate. Loving that. That's George. George all right, is he?
Not bad. I mean, he's no Danny Dyer, but
Well,
you make do what you can. It was on Zoom for 6 minutes. I don't know.
Oh, so therefore he zoomed you off.
Yeah,
At least
exactly.
I fucking turned up. Not that I'm in George's bracket, but hey ho.
Come. But what I was going to say was both of them did soap operas and TV serials, and they're very proud of that. And they said, I learned the ropes.
Yeah.
That's how I do. When you have to be there day after day, and it's every week, and these scripts are being churned out, and sometimes it's not the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Is that how you see EastEnders? I'm not saying it was bad, but the skill of soap acting seems to me to be a unique kind of thing.
What I will say is that it is a machine. And multicam was a revelation to me. I'd made a lot of films up to that point. And so, you know, a good day on a film, you pushing it 12-hour day, 6 pages. All of a sudden you go to EastEnders, it's 30 a day. And you go, wow. Now, that's because you don't do a lot of takes, and obviously you don't need, you know, the coverage is done in one take. So there's something about doing a scene, and I did love this, but I did have to draw on all my experience. I think young actors, it's a good way to learn your trade. Yeah. But also, I needed to draw on all my experience to get through it, because the workload and some of the dialogue's tricky. It's not that good because it's pre-Watershed. But to organically make the scene work while you're doing it, because there's no rehearsals. You come into the studio, you read it once between you, and then the director goes straight away, right, you're going to stand there, you're going to come through that door, you're going to come in here. So you go, oh, right, we're doing it live. There's something about that. Yeah. You know, you got to try and make that work. Now, that's not for everybody, but I'm very proud of the 9 years I did. I did 1,100 episodes. It was a long time. I got blessed with some brilliant storylines, also some ones. I'm not going to lie. It's a powerful platform soap, and when they get it right, it reaches more people than what politicians do and the people that govern us. Sure. So if you can get it right, then you are reaching out to people. Yeah. My first storyline was my son coming out to me as gay. Yeah. And usually in EastEnders, if you come out as gay, Especially if you're Phil Mitchell's son. You know, you got to run around and kill someone after.
Yeah.
You got to smash someone on the head with an ashtray. Whereas actually this was very simple. It was me on a settee with my son, and he says to me, I'm gay. And I go, I thought you was. Come here, I love you.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something now.
And it was seen
The
by
amount of
20
people,
million
that came out the next day, because whatever I represent, I don't know. It's not tangible. Danny Dyer, whatever that is. If it's okay, and it's very clever, who's a gay man himself, Dominic Treadwell Collins, he said, if you can come out to Danny Dyer, then you can come out to anybody. And that's obviously a powerful thing, because I still have young men come up to me and say, oh, I came out the next day to my dad, and it was fine. And that just really touches me in a way. I go, wow, that's a powerful platform.
Absolutely.
And if you get it right, you can change people's lives.
Yeah. Well
Unfortunately,
said.
a lot of the time it's
Last question. This is a film show that you're talking to me on. All the name drops should be apparent. But the only time I mention sport on this show is that I'm an Evertonian for my sins since I was a kid.
God bless you.
I bleed blue. So I just have to ask, we are so happy to have Moyes back. Why on earth? The man who gets you a trophy.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't your decision, but why did you get rid of Moyes?
Well, listen, let me tell you something. I love that man more than probably most West Ham fans, because he brought Gerard Bowen to my club.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know who Gerard Bowen was. You know, he played for Hull. We bought him for, I think, 17 million. I remember him coming and going, who is this kid? You know, he's a bit arrogant because he wanted certain... I remember he had wage demands. I thought, he better be good. Anyway, oh my God. Little did I know he was going to go on to marry my daughter. Anyway, that's a whole new story. But...
if only we'd more time.
I think he'd come to the end of his run, and I'll tell you for why. He's a very listen, he was great at Everton. It's your best years.
Yeah.
He came to us.
Our best years are ahead
It's been
of
our
us
best
as
years.
well, yeah.
Well, no, absolutely, because he brought us a trophy.
Yeah.
Which is incredible to
Yeah.
me. But he's a very defensive, pragmatic, defensive kind of manager. So it's hard to watch. And so when you are like that and you're being defensive, in that final season we had with him, we were losing 6-0, 5-0, 4-0, and you're going, right, okay, so now it's boring to watch and we're still losing 6-0. So it didn't work for some reason. I think the fans were on his back, but I think he needed a change. We did. It's been difficult since he left. Let's have it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Everton. I don't like Liverpool. You know, so
I couldn't
you know,
comment.
I like the underdog because I support an underdog club.
Yeah.
So I do think, you know, I hope he brings you a bit of success because you've got a new stadium.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you haven't been defensive, Everton.
No. We've been a lot of things, but yeah.
I mean, no, but since he's come.
No. And
if anything, Daesh was holding you back somewhat.
We better not get into the Daesh
No,
thing.
we won't get into Daesh, but I wish you all the best with him. And I love that man, like I said, because if you hadn't brought Jared to my club, then I wouldn't have these twin beautiful granddaughters that I've got.
That's a perfect place then. Thank you so much for your time today. And George Clooney, none of these people are a patch in studio in front of you. Thanks a million.
You made a beautiful Oprah. Thank you.